Welcome to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Have you ever wondered why so many women remain in relationships that drain their spirit rather than lift them up? And what happens to a woman's inner light when she lingers in a marriage that no longer fits her soul? And after the courage to step away, what are the hidden emotional challenges, the ones we rarely hear about, that can shape her journey of renewal? Today, we're exploring the crossroads of divorce, reinvention, confidence, self-worth, and freedom. I'm joined by Kathryne Mejias, owner of Born for More and the creator of the Soulful Divorcée Event. Kathryne, welcome to Empowered. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for having me on your show today.
Okay, so let's just jump right in. Why do so many women stay in relationships that no longer serve them?
You know what, Elizabeth, that is such a great question because humans are creatures of habit. We like to know what's coming. And divorce is a huge leap into the unknown. And we're not comfortable with that. We like to know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I think that that is one of the biggest reason why women stay in these relationships.
So, how does staying too long in a misaligned marriage affect a woman's energy body?
You know what? It affects us because it's desires within us that are suppressed. And if we can never connect to those desires and make them happen, then it caps our joy. And that is exactly what happened in my situation. I kept on feeling these different emotions and with the clients I worked with as well. And it's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to stay for my son. Or we always seem to find these excuses, right? And especially when it comes to children, that's another reason why women stay in these relationships. The child grows up thinking that love is supposed to be about arguing, it's supposed to be hard. And in the future, when that child goes ahead and searches for love, they look for those connections that create dis-ease. And so I think it's such an important thing to honor how we feel and take action so that we can live our highest timeline, we can create more joy. And really, isn't that what life is really about? To experience as much joy as when we have that option.
And yet, there are so many excuses and there are so many barriers. What's the cost of outsourcing your happiness in a relationship?
The cost is the joy and feeling vibrant. You know, I can always tell when someone is really honoring themselves and their soul because they have this glow about them that you just can't buy. If someone is capping their happiness, not living in their truth, outsourcing their happiness, then it's almost like a fake happiness. And when you look at them in the eyes, I could tell right away. And so the more we take these leaps, step into the unknown when it comes to divorce, the more we feel alive. And a lot of times when we're stuck in marriages, we kind of numb ourselves, whether that is with alcohol or we kind of find these distractions and we're not living. So, what is the point of living? And by no means am I an advocate for divorce. I didn't even know how many divorces there were, to be quite honest, until it happened to me. And I realized the amount of shame and guilt and all the emotions related to divorce, right? And so that's why I really built Born for More and the community, because it is so important to have a community to support, because a lot of people leave marriages, they don't have a community, they don't feel strong and they don't have that inner strength, and then what happens, they go back to the marriage that they work so hard to leave, and so they stay stuck in these cycles. And I am all about breaking the cycles, moving through fear. Everyone has fear, but once we move across that, it becomes almost like an adventure. And I love to use divorce as a catalyst because it is such a strong moment in time that affects the people going through it. And if you can use it to propel yourself forward, then why not?
And the key is, too, we do not need to suffer in silence. There are so many people out there we can talk to. There are so many other organizations there that can help us. So, ladies, don't go away. We'll be right back to talk more about the Soulful Divorcee And Kathryne will guide us through it all. So please don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Born for More, Why Divorce is Just the Beginning is today's topic. Now, Kathryne, let's talk about rebuilding. What are the first steps to rebuilding your identity and learning to trust yourself again after separation?
That's a big question because personally, the whole divorce, it's almost like a rebirth, and you have to rebuild the connection with yourself. A lot of my clients, including myself, they lose themselves in relationships, especially when it's a long one, right? I'm talking about 20, 30 years. You completely lose your sense of identity. So once you're stepping out of that, you have to kind of, I like to say, date yourself. Get to know what you like. Personally, when I left my marriage, I was, so sad. I was on the floor crying, and I'm like, you know what? I gotta build myself back up. And so one step that I did is I started coaching myself in the mirror. And I know it sounds silly, but I looked at myself in the mirror and I would say to myself, "You are amazing. I love you. Let's make this the best life that we can. Let's use this as an opportunity." And so I did. And at first, it sounded kind of weird. I was laughing at myself. But after a while, it actually worked because I started to believe it. I actually look different now than I did before. My hair changed. Sometimes the inner self changes and the outer self has to reflect that change as well. So maybe you want to change your hair color, get a tattoo. I got a tattoo right here just to I don't know, say okay, I am not the same person, and this is kind of proof of my evolution.
But you know what? I love that because as women, we suffer in silence and we beat ourselves up really, really badly. We've got that negativity in our head. And the more we listen to it, the more we beat ourselves up. I love the fact that you were saying to yourself, I love you. I think you're great. And I think you're amazing. And I think as women, we need to do that more just to lift ourselves up. Now, you talked about that. What other daily habits have helped you rebuild your relationship with yourself?
Another important one was catching my own thoughts, right? Because we have this voice inside and we don't even realize it until we bring awareness to it. And for myself, it was a big deal because coming out of a toxic relationship was my self worth. I didn't have self worth. I felt I had no confidence. I had some, but it wasn't, I guess, embodied. It was more surface level. And I could still hear that voice. Oh, whatever it says, whatever your inner voice says.
Right.
So, how to change that is to actually catch it in the moment and rewrite it right then and there. You cannot wait till later because it won't have the same impact, but you have to almost be hyper aware of your own voice and your own feelings and make it kind of a routine to rewrite your thoughts in the moment in time.
And I think that's really important. We need to rewrite a lot of things that we do to help uplift us. We need to surround ourselves with really good people to help get us through there. I want to talk about limiting beliefs. Can you explain limiting beliefs from past partners and how to clear them?
Absolutely. So it all has to do with the inner voice, right? Because our limiting beliefs create that internal dialogue. And once you are able to shift your internal dialogue, that's when you are able to release the limiting beliefs. And at the underneath all of that, it has to do with self-worth. And what are you willing to put up with yourself? Is exactly what you will put up with in partners, relationships, but also from friends, from bosses, from everyone. So once you acknowledge your own limiting beliefs, catch them, rewrite the script, your energy will shift. And then you will begin to notice more and more how people are really talking to you. For myself and many of the women I work with, it's like a total cleanup of not only the relationship that they just left or are thinking of leaving, but also a cleanup in the individuals that are surrounding them, their friends, even friends that have been, in their lives 10, 20, 30 years. They change as well. So it's about not being afraid to let go, even though you've been attached to these people or situations or job, and kind of take that leap again, jumping into the unknown, creating that adventure.
Okay, so we will be right back and we are going to talk some more with Kathryne with Born for More and get to that next level so that we feel spirited and totally empowered. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Born for More, Why Divorce is Just the Beginning is today's topic. Now, Kathryne, what would you say to the woman who fears being too much after a divorce?
I would ask her what she means by that. Does she feel like she was too little, or what does too much mean, or who put these ideas in her head? I'm all about expressing myself every day to the maximum. And every day I actually try to expand in that, because when you are too much, it's maybe too much for other people. And the more authentic you are, people will think you're too much because you're reflecting to them a part of themselves that they don't have access to. So I would say she is doing a service to the people she is around and to keep on pushing her too much.
You know what? It's really funny that you say that because when I started working on Bay Street 28 years ago, I came from broadcasting and I had somebody say to me, "You need to tone it down. You are too much for Bay Street." And I said, "But I'm just going to be who I am." And I didn't really understand it, but you're right. Just be your authentic self and people will flock to you. So let's go on to the next one. Why is redefining beauty and sensuality after divorce important for a woman's healing?
It's so important because, like myself and many of the women I work with, we kind of become numb, right? We don't even feel parts of ourselves because I feel like we have suppressed our desires, and those parts of ourselves are connected to our body energetically. And so we are numb in our bodies. So rediscovering our sensuality, experimenting again with the hair, the makeup, maybe go some salsa dancing, do something that just brings out that feminine energy. And it's not meant to be bottled up. Again, coming back to the too much, it's meant to be expressed and shared, and we have to be proud of who we are.
And being proud of who we are, I want to talk about self worth because a lot of women are demoralized when they come out of a relationship. So, what's the link between self worth and the type of partners that we attract?
So the whole dating scene, I loved, using that as a learning tool and seeing, did I really improve my self-worth? Because is this person that I'm on a date with, how does he make me feel? What kind of individual is he? Is he the same kind of individuals that I just left, or is it someone completely different? So the whole dating thing I used as a learning experience to see where I need to heal. And I used it as kind of a game, to sort of say as to learn more about myself and where I needed to level up. And then see if it worked, right? Because you actually get real life feedback from your reality.
It's important for us to grow as women as well. Through our decades, things
Hmm.
are different in our lives, whether it's our body, our mind, the direction we're going into. So, as a soulful divorcee architect, how do you help women release outdated patterns and reconnect with themselves?
So I have one-on-one soulful sessions where I deep dive into with the woman. It depends where they're at. Every session is uniquely crafted, and I help her reconnect with herself and coach her to coach herself. Because I don't want her to be reliant on me. I want her to be reliant on herself, which in marriage, or especially in toxic marriage, we always give the power away. So these sessions are designed to bring back the power like the name of your podcast, empower her, and to focus on her desires and take action, soul aligned action from that place, which naturally gives her clarity and confidence. And when a woman has that confidence, she is just unstoppable because she will not settle for less. Her self esteem will be up there. And when your self esteem rises, you don't take any lower vibrations or any lower frequencies. You only accept the best, and women deserve the best.
I agree with you. And before we go to commercial break, I just want to ask you because a lot of women struggle with confidence. How do they rebuild it?
They rebuild it by rebuilding the relationship they have with themselves and trusting themselves because we're always looking outside of ourselves for the answers. Oh, you tell me what to do, whether
Yeah.
you're going to see a tarot card reader or a therapist or whatever your outlet or your friends or your family, we have to learn to trust ourselves.
Absolutely. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Born for More, Why Divorce is Just the Beginning is today's topic. And I'm joined by Kathryne Mejias, owner of Born for More and the creator of the Soulful Divorcée Event. Now, Kathryne, what inspired you to create Born for More? And how does it guide women through their transformation after a divorce?
The Born for More brand was created because I always felt like I was born for something more, but I could never have the more. I kept on looking around. I'm like, where's the more? And the thing that was preventing the more was myself and my limiting beliefs. So once I put two and two together, released my own limiting beliefs, I'm like, I need to help other women do the same and really connect to themselves, expand, really live instead of staying numb. And that was where the brand was born. I help women find their inner connection to themselves and use divorce as a catalyst. A lot of women come out of marriages and they're victims, right? They're like, poor me, which I was there as well until I used it as fertile. When life gives you lemons, I don't make lemonade, I make margaritas, very good margaritas. And that is what I did. And I just feel great now. I turned it into an adventure and I really want to help other women. As I mentioned, divorce is on the rise, and 69% of women initiate divorce, which is crazy to think about. But it's like it opens the door to things that maybe 20 years ago it wasn't so a thing, and now it opens the eyes because women do not want to settle for something that they want when they want to find the more.
So you just said divorce rates are on the rise, especially among women. And you just said 69% of women are the ones who initiate divorce. And basically, these women were the ones who once felt pressure to make it work. Why do you think now? Why now?
I think there's more awareness. And I also read something that said once your friends get divorced, you're more likely to get divorced because there's more awareness through social media, through friends, and it used to be a taboo. It still is because there's a lot of shame and guilt and the word failure, that's related to divorce. But I think we're changing perspectives and we just need to honor the growth of society, our own evolution, and everything changes, and so does marriage.
Yeah, and we're coming to a close, and this has been a really good conversation. I want to talk about some of the biggest emotional hurdles that women face after divorce. So, what are they? And especially the ones that people don't talk enough about.
The main one is not feeling good enough and capable of making it on your own, because a lot of women come out of marriages when they didn't even have to do anything. For myself, I had to clean my car now, change my tires, do my oil change. I'm like, oh my God, I never did any of that. Right. So it's that. Then there's the paying the bills and keeping everything together ourselves. And so again, it's about realizing that we can do it. And it's not that hard once we get the hang of it, especially when we have a supportive community like the Born for More community, which I also have a newsletter. People can go and sign up and be part of an amazing community. So I think that is one of those things.
So, okay, so we're at the end of the show. How can stepping away from a misaligned relationship actually lead to greater success in career, parenting, and again, in that confidence?
Because studies show that when women leave, their mental health drastically improves because they, for one, start putting themselves first. Whereas before they had to put maybe the husband, all these other things and the children, right? I am co-parenting right now and, it's working really well, but I never had so much free time. I didn't even realize because I always had to do other things. And now I'm like, wow, I have time to take care of my own needs. And that improves your mental health. And once your mental health is improved, everything kind of follows.
Kathryne, thank you so much for sharing your story. I know that this will help a lot of women. So thank you so much for being on Empowered.
Thank you so much for having me.
As Kathryne says, divorce isn't a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. Sometimes you've got to break the old to build the bold. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski, and I'm here to empower you and make frugality fashionable. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this episode really helps you out. Bye for now.